You'll have to forgive the rainfall, kind of the echo chamber in here. Maybe it's just louder than I think it is. So this is the Wadsworth. This is like a Ministep for 4-stage control. I think it's a Ministep. There's the user manual. So this controller works by changing a set of relays. They're single pole, double throw. So you got normally open, normally closed, and then you have a contactor cabinet. We're not going to have this open because we got multiple power sources inside that, and right now we have power on in there. So right now, this, you can see the only relay that's active is relay or output number 3. Now output number 3 is for that heater that runs on propane, but they don't want to use it. This is for native plants, and they said it burns too much propane, so not gonna worry about that. Now I wrote down our relays, make it a little bit easier. So we have shutters, fan, and heat. Now somebody had jumped the shutters to the fans, or fan, and it should have been done like that, but 56 degrees, so we're in heat mode. So fans off, and this thing auto shutters when it turns on, and then R2 set the shutters there and there are off or closed, I guess they say, off because of the motor. So what I'm gonna do, so I'm using a heat gun. This is our sensor probe. So I'm going to use a heat gun to simulate that, like, let's say things are warming up. Now, what we should see, this thing should already start kicking up in temperature. Now when it hits 70 is when everything's going to change. So you're going to watch these relays change. So shutters are open, and then we should see our fan turn on. Always jump a little bit with that thing. And so as the temperature is hotter, you can see we got, basically we don't use a 4th output, so we're just using the single output, or excuse me, we're just using 1 and 2. So let's go down and check out our shutters. So the shutter motors are really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my heat gun because we've already turned things up. So it's gonna go into cooling. Well, it's already in cooling mode, right? So the cool thing about these are these motors run continuously when they are powered up, and that's what holds these shutters basically open. And then I replace the little rubber bumpers, and I've tried to adjust these, and this is as good as I can get it. So as soon as thing cools down, then these are basically being held open, and these will spring shut by themselves. So right now we're in cooling mode because it thinks that the greenhouse is 85 degrees. And it's a 4-stage control, so you can set up different ways to go through different stages. So it's not gonna just an on-off. There's a differential there, and so as say this thing cools, it might is it going to leave the fan on? Is it going to leave the shutters open? Combination of those outputs. So there's a lot of things, but purely for native plants, we are just going to use it for keeping the greenhouse cool. The irrigation is on a separate controller, so it's just purely for ventilation at this point. But so let's go see what's going on. This thing might be radiating heat. Yeah, wish I had like something cold. So fan's still running. The fan needs some preventive maintenance as well. But our temps are dropping. See all the notes. Well, I didn't have a schematic for this contactor cabinet, and I had to probe everything out to try and figure out what it did. Finally called them and said, oh yeah, we got one of those schematic, and these two schematics are not even close. So I basically wired this up like the old one was. Should be that dude down there, in order to set this up. So let's see, 76. 75. 74. So you can see we dropped our fourth contact there, so now we're down to 1 and 2. They already noticed it, and I didn't. So probably what's going to happen is the first thing that's going to turn off is going to be the fan. The shutters are going to stay open. So 2 is going to turn off. Yep, there goes the fan. Now you can see we're on 1 and 3. So now we're in heating mode. 72. So we're back to heat and shutters. '70s. Okay, you've heard that close. Alright. So now this thing's back to, I think, heating mode. And so this thing needs to be adjusted, right? This thing needs to be adjusted so that, you know, the set points and cooling temps, but for right now, as it's factory preset, it does all the things you want to. So when you set one of these up, you go in and basically tell the relays, what function does that relay do? Is it related to heating or cooling? And depending on how you wire those, you know, there's some time delays in here so that, you know, the fan basically waits to turn on until the shutters are open, that sort of thing. So pretty simple relay logic. Obviously this thing's a lot nicer than that old thing, which is falling apart. So yeah, there you go.